Oh, hey, how's it going? You should walk with me for a minute. I want to tell you a story about a place called Donfuer 10. And before you click away because you've already heard about that base in a FitMC video, just give me a minute to tell you about the base that, like a phoenix, rose from the ashes and the rubble to become a much better, grander and more beautiful base. A story FitMC doesn't even know about yet. But that does leave a question with an answer that you've probably already guessed. Where are we? We, my friend, are in Donfuer 10. But let's take a step back and start from the beginning. So, the story that led to this mighty city in ruins starts a long time ago in 2013. Donfuer began in the mind of somebody named Deloaded, and the name Donfuer was an inaccurate translation of Father's Gift in German. It was not yet a 2B2T group, but more of an idea of a multi-server empire of bases, a concept that, in my entirely unbiased opinion, is genius. Deloaded was friends with a player called Hermetic Lock, who was a senior member of the Vortex Coalition, referred to as Voco, and he took the leader of Voco, called Coltsnid, to see the 9th Donfuer on a different server. He was so impressed by this build that they convinced Deloaded to come over to 2B2T and build a base for them, and Donfuer 10 was founded on 2B2T on the 11th of December 2016. Oh, but dog, and I hear you say, you said you were telling a new story, but I've already heard this in a FitMC video. Give me a little bit more time to finish telling the backstory for those who haven't heard it, and we'll get into the fun stuff quite soon. Donfuer 10 was griefed on the 17th of January 2017 by a player called Bubba J after Coltsnid had leaked the codes to his own base due to the jealousy of his own group's decline and the rise of Donfuer. Over the next few years, the idea of a rebuild was toyed with until Deloaded decided that the group would do it almost 4 years after the original grief. They began on the 10th of October 2020, and they started making real progress with the help of a player called Banana who'd supplied the materials for the build. Over the course of the next week and a half, many major parts of the build were finished using a plan that they had set out for the rebuild. On the 21st of October, it was business as usual, apart from, of course, the fact that the client Phobos had been backdoored and the codes of hundreds of bases had been leaked, and the first base that they chose to grief was Donfuer. A player called 3VT and a couple of other griefers were already on their way to grief the base, which meant that the second fall of Donfuer 10 had already begun. A player named Reggie was online and fought 3VT off, even getting him to combat log, but he was simply delaying the inevitable. Reggie's half-hour battle didn't go to waste though, because as he fought to prevent the grief, a world download was being taken of what was almost the last time ever Donfuer 10 was anything but a pile of rubble. Until an incredibly fortunate occurrence. In December of 2020, a player named Sky is Weird applied to join Donfuer, but he was no normal applicant. As he explained to Deloaded, he ran a small group of builders dedicated to the rebuilding of old griefed bases. He sent them to Donfuer 10 along with a couple of other players, including two called Banana and Saznak. But he wasn't really expecting anything to come of it, since the damage from the recent Phobos grief was far worse than the original grief, to the point where the build was barely recognisable. But, to his surprise, they were making real progress thanks to the hard work of the group, especially Saznak, who by account of the other builders simply built and built non-stop. So much progress was made that Deloaded himself eventually went to go and help out. And this build that I've been walking through in the background, that's the final result. The third rebuild was eventually finished on the 17th of January 2021, and by now you can probably guess why I decided to take Deloaded up on the offer to make a video about his base. Of course, it's beautiful and magnificent and incredible to walk through, but there's no shortage of beautiful bases on 2B2T. I chose to do this video not because of the build, but because of the story. A story of history, politics and valiant defenders, of 2B2T legends, betrayal and destruction, of struggle, redemption, and finally, peace. Yeah, I'm joking. There was no peace, and as of the making of this video, Donfuer 10 is once again a pile of rubble. But that doesn't matter. It's been a pile of rubble twice before, and that didn't stop it from coming back, despite the fact that the builders knew it'd end up just the same as when they started, as a crater. They weren't ever looking to create an eternal monument, just looking to make some friends, some stories, and a statement. A statement that a thing isn't beautiful because it lasts, it can be beautiful because it's fleeting, like the flash of a shooting star, or the gentle strum of a guitar string, or the humble beginnings of a story. The best things in life happen suddenly, and end just the same, in a blur of feelings, actions, and sometimes regrets, after which the dust settles, and you're left with only a memory that you wouldn't trade for the world.